NottsRockCast is an association with Regular Riot. Welcome to NottsRockCast, the Notts Alternative Scene podcast. And here is your host, Jethro D, bringing you everything Notts and rock.
Welcome back, Notts Rockers, to another NRC-027 on YouTube. Yes, this week I'm talking to a well-known promoter that I don't think there's anyone that's got a bad word to say about him. But as always, let me remind you, please hit that subscribe button and ding that bell to be notified when more of these chats are coming out on YouTube. And check out the website for more media. Okay, I'm here today with a chat with Kris. Graham Martin. I only really remember that because there's a mastering engineer called Kris Graham, and he does Kris Graham's mastering. And of course, when I saw your name come up when I added you on Facebook, I went, hang on, it's not the same guy. But anyway, no, I'm with Kris Graham Martin from IKE Productions and many other things. So, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Yeah. So my name's Kris Graham Martin, everyone's already heard. So I run IKE Productions, which is a promotion company which is based in Nottingham these days. We've been doing gigs now for about 10 years. So we've done events all the way across the city, and we've done tours and stuff across the country and other bits and bobs at various different points. So yeah, nowadays we do shows at like Rescue Rooms, Rock City, The Maze, rest in peace.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, pretty much everywhere where there's live music, we do events. So, and that's us. We also run Macmillan Fest, which is a metropolitan festival, which is based in Nottingham and Bristol. And yeah, that's pretty much about it.
Right. So let me just, because it's on my mind right now.
Yeah.
The Maze. How long have you been working with that venue?
God, what year are we in? I'd say probably close to about 10 years. Basically, before I started doing events and everything else, I was in a band. And that band was called Arcanite Reaper. Absolutely terrible name. But basically started doing it from like a love of, I basically started doing gigs because my band had nowhere to play. And we didn't really know who to go to and whatever. So we started doing gigs that way, and then that kind of slowly transformed into just doing events anyway. So yeah, I've been probably in and around the Maze for about 10 years-ish, and Nottingham's music scene basically.
Wow. So what's one of your favourite memories from the Maze?
There's quite a lot to choose from. I think one of the favourites would probably be 2017's Metal to the Masses final. Yep. Having that sold out and having 200 plus people in there, just completely using the venue as to how it should be used. Sold out, hot and sweaty, really good intimate gig vibes. Giving the bands that kind of show where they're not usually expecting it as well. Yeah. I think one of that for me is one of my favourites.
Can you remember the winners from that year?
God, who was it? It was Raised by Owls.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I remember now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I had to remind myself for a sec there. Wow, that's... Okay, yeah, I think it's a devastating thing that's happened, and I don't really know the full background behind it. And it's just a shame to see any place close that's alternative in this city.
Yeah.
Because, like a lot of guests have said, this city is just the epicentre of the alternative scene in the UK. So I think you're in a very good position with what you do.
Yeah, definitely. We're really fortunate that there are so many people in the city centre, and there's such an epic structure for live music in Nottingham. I mean, when you think of how big Nottingham is as a city, it's punching well above its weight, and kind of compares in some ways to Manchester, Liverpool, London to certain respects. And I think that is down to the network and the hub of people that are so interested and passionately involved in live music. I think that being said, it is becoming a lot harder for people to carry on doing that. People do this out of a passion. They're usually working other jobs on the side.
Yeah.
And they're doing this. I mean, other than companies like I'm Not From London or DHP, for example, they're the people that are doing it full time. And even people like I'm Not From London, they've still been doing it very independently and on a very grassroots level for a very long while. Yeah. It's definitely more a love of passion as it is over, let's make a lot of money these days.
Yeah. It's money's one of the hardest things to get your mind round when it's anything to do with passion, because I do this as a passion, and the overheads for it are considerable, but it's something I'm happy to do because A, I'm getting my learning out of it for audio engineering, and B, like I said to Peter Lee in the last interview, I love this city.
Yeah.
For some reason, I think it's brilliant, and the people in it, so I've been told, make it even so much better. I do like to ask, can you give a quote of inspiration?
I can, and only because you asked me this the other day, I had to really think about a quote that really resonates to me. And it's really short and really sweet, but it's just never be too quick to judge. And I think that's really important in the industry that we're in. Whether it's bands or people. People can come across with completely different opinions. They can, come across. If a band's playing, they might be playing, death metal or whatever, and you might not be into that. But those bands also may grow and transform into something else. And people that are starting out, like yourself, for example, you've only started doing this. Never be too quick to judge. A lot of people will, cast those people aside. They'll never actually give them the time of day. And I think it's making sure you give those kind of people the time and the effort, because realistically they're the next generation of people, or the next set of people that might be doing what we're doing right now. So I would never be too quick to judge people. I think it's really important, and it's I think a lot of people can get carried away with themselves sometimes. They can get quite self-absorbed to the point where they don't think about that, and they do judge people very quickly.
Yeah, no, it's something that I see a lot. I don't see it so much in the alternative scene, but I think that's a brilliant quote. And definitely, it's hard nowadays because with the internet, a lot of people will automatically give a review of a band, and that review could be quite damaging towards other people that have never seen the band.
Yeah.
So the amount of songs that I've had on this podcast, and every one of them has been of different genre, different type, and I haven't found a bad song yet come to this podcast.
Yeah.
And there's been all levels of professionalism with the recordings, but every one of them has got passion and drive. So
yeah, definitely.
I think that's absolutely amazing. So were you originally from Notts?
Yeah, I've been from, I was born and raised in Nottingham. Used to live in Gedling. And now I live towards the city centre. So, always lived around here, always been involved around Nottingham. So for me, it's really interesting as a local to see the development of a city. As a Nottingham resident, it's always been really interesting to see the development of a city, not only just from a music perspective, but everything else. Watching the city centre bloom with tourism and interesting things going on. The fact that crime is, surprisingly down. You can walk in there around town on Saturday night without usually worrying about getting stabbed somewhere. All those kind of things. I think as a Nottingham resident, it's been really nice to just see get better. And again, I do keep genuinely thinking that Nottingham is punching well above its weight.
Yeah,
definitely.
Well, fair enough. But something I was thinking about earlier when you were talking about it punching well above its weight and the amount of gigs going on, I've got a feeling if we properly looked into it and saw how many gigs per year happened in Nottingham, I think we might actually get in the top 10 for the most amount of gigs a year. And I think London's still doing the best on that, but I know we've got tons of stuff that happens.
Yeah, God, definitely. I mean, for ourselves, IKE does anywhere between, depending on what kind of year and whatever stuff I'm doing work-wise, we'll do anywhere between 40 and 70 odd events.
Yeah.
Completely ranges. But, promoters like, Phil Core at Torturous Promotions.
Yeah.
You probably do about 20 odd events a year. Just in your local scene alone, with a few of the promoters included, you can probably easily count 200 plus shows.
Yeah.
So it's essentially, 2-3 a week easily. We're very lucky. I'm not sure how much you know about DHP, but obviously, in terms of
not much.
In terms of local standing, they're huge. They have venues. They own their own venues in London. They own their own venues in Bristol.
Yeah.
They do tours for Ed Sheeran. They do.
Wow.
Yeah, they are
Not a fan of the music, but wow.
yeah. But for a Nottingham-based company to be doing that amount of stuff, it's incredible. So when you think they actually, they run the Bodega, they run Rock City, Stealth, Rescue Rooms, etc. in Nottingham City Centre alone, and you see all the events going on there, and they still host events at the arena and other stuff on top of everything else, nationally. They are one of those companies that are helping this city, maintain those standards and bringing in people that wouldn't usually come into the city for live music.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's it's really inspiring to hear that and know that there's so many people working hard to make sure that there's always something to do. When I do the gig guide each week, the amount of different stuff I'm calling out, I find it hard pronouncing most of the metal bands' names.
Yeah.
it's not the easiest thing, especially when you're dyslexic. But I kind of treat it as a bit of fun, like I've been telling people. So it's interesting to see who sends me an invite and who doesn't and stuff like that. But something I think I would like to talk to you about is Phil Core recently has been banned again.
Yeah. For
trying to promote his events.
Yeah.
Do you have any trouble with that?
I do. I've kind of gone to the point where, as a promoter, I look more into paid advertising these days. So a lot of the presence that we try and create around our events are usually based on Google ads, Facebook ads, integrated into Instagram and all that kind of stuff. Social media and the internet is definitely the way forward for your events, I think, these days, compared to printing off loads of posters, polluting the planet, etc. And whatever. But event invites are a weird one. They're really, really crucial. And one of the things that we try and do is I work with Phil Core, Phil Taylor, Lee Smith, for example, and a few promoters where sometimes we try and at least promote each of his events. Yeah. So we try and help actually, do those invites for other people's events, so we've actually got more of a hub.
Yeah, because you get about a cap of 50, someone said to me.
It completely depends. Facebook changes all the time. It can be 50, it can be 500.
Because then if there's 3 of you, you can all share, and then you've got the 3 times the amount, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. And arguably we've all got different selections of people that would naturally come to the events that others might not be aware of. It's trying to do that and trying to make sure that kind of practice is still in place with any other promoter that comes in. To Nottingham and still want to start doing shows, is that making sure people are still looking after each other and helping each other out where they can. It helps avoid those ad caps and those bans, so people like Phil can still obviously do his gigs, which would be.
Because I do have a list of promoters and venues that every other week I'll click onto their Facebook page, go to their events, and just make sure I haven't missed anything, or they haven't missed anything. It's not the biggest list in the world, but I can comfortably say you're on it. So I do. Hence why I got all the Metal to the Masses stuff on there, because it's something that I'm interested in. B, it's something that I think people should know about, because like I was trying to say a lot at the moment, is support local bands, get out and basically take the time to be friends with people. I think is what it boils down to. If you've got friends in a band, there's no reason why you shouldn't just go out and go spend half an hour watching them.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, places like Metal to the Masses are a really good thing, because they're constant and they're regular, and it's something that you almost know certain people are going to show up to, because there are arguably certain types of music that are going to be there, so therefore the same people will probably end up going back. And it's. I think over the years, for me, I've probably made hundreds of friends, that I could, quite happily get to around a message and ask for advice, or from all walks of life, just because of things like Metal to the Masses taking place, and and certain events like that always being there.
Oh, it's nice to hear that. And the one thing that I really liked this year was the variety in genres in bands.
Yeah.
From what I obviously, I apologise, I didn't make it to both the semi-finals.
That's fine.
I wasn't too well at that point. But what I did see through the heats was just so much variety of different styles, and it wasn't, as much as it's called metal to the masses, there wasn't just metal there, which is nice and inspiring.
Well, I think
from my point of view.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we've had to definitely change the way alternative music is being perceived by people.
Yeah.
These days there are so many subgenres. It is ridiculous. There are so many people into different genres. You can no longer just blanket everything under metal, and especially in relation to where Bloodstock sits these days. Bloodstock is becoming a bigger festival. It's becoming a bigger alternative festival, and quite sadly, as much as the first Bloodstock I ever went to was like 2004.
Yeah.
When it was in the assembly rooms, those days have changed. So those core 1,000 people that were really into like niche metal music, it can't be for the masses anymore. You've got to expand, like Bloodstock are doing. They're bringing in bands like Tesseract, they're bringing in bands like Queen's Ride.
I think
Parkway
the best
Drive, like those kind of examples that are stretching the boundaries of metal, so it's more of an inclusive festival that people can involve themselves with.
I'm going to interject on that one, because even though them bands that you said, yes, they are kind of expanding it. I think it was last year, Mr. Big.
Yeah,
that. I can't remember where. Now I'd started this podcast just after Bloodstock, so I didn't actually get a chance to say the fact. When I watched Mr. Big, I was at a point that weekend where I was a little fed up of hearing the same stale metal coming from left, right and centre. To suddenly see a kind of bluesy thing come on stage and more rock-based was like, wow, this is refreshing. Love this.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I think same for when they put in Skindred last year, when they had Ailstorm play. You have those party bands that are still, they're still metal based and they're alternative, but they're a lot more light-hearted and a lot more fun. Bands like Evil Scarecrow, it breaks your day out. It breaks your day up between very serious metal bands. Because he's
doing the Crabulon pinchers at the moment. He's explaining this. Doing the audio visual now.
If I could make crab noises, I would, but it might just get a bit disturbing.
No, I think that's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, but yeah, it's cool seeing that kind of stuff. It's nice just to break it all up.
Yeah,
and yet I still appreciate all the the very serious theatrical shows of like Gojira, Behemoth, etc. But Dimmu Borgir, for example, they're all really epic in their own right. But if you had a whole day's worth of very serious bands like that, it gets a bit dull. And I think that's where they're starting to change it up. And I think it's positive. I
completely in agreement with that. So outside of what you do with IKE, do you pronounce it IKE or IKE?
I've left people to their own devices, to be honest with you.
Cool, because I kept saying IKE, and then I've just heard you say IKE, and
I call it IKE, but IKE, it's the same thing. People call different companies different things. It depends on how they pronounce it, I guess. So yeah, I'm fine with whatever.
Trust me, I get called some names sometimes. But outside of that, what do you have another job, like you were saying?
Yeah.
So what profession are you into there?
So I'm an events manager. So I work as an events supervisor at Nottingham Trent Students Union. So I basically work as part of an events team who run events during term times. So for all these students at Nottingham Trent. So but essentially for about 9 months of the year, I do that, and then in my time off, I do freelance events around the city. And
so it's whatever. Through and through, really. There's no real.
Yeah, I mean, events became a passion. I look back now and go, how the hell have I got into this? To be honest with you, but, so this is it's my life really. So still learning new stuff, always new experiences, which is I find really, really exciting. So you come into work every day and there's usually something new or something strange that happens that you've kind of just got to work around.
Yeah, no, I think that's really cool. Like you were saying on the workaround, I'm just going to hit on the last question in this section, then I'll go back.
That's fine.
What hurdles have you personally faced with this, and how did you overcome them?
God, okay.
Oh, he's going to have to go through his notes.
I'm going my notes. I thought I didn't want to.
No, that's cool.
Too many points. So Yeah, there's been quite a few hurdles getting up to this point. At one point, I went to university to actually do an event management course. I didn't graduate.
You didn't?
I didn't, no.
Oh.
So I got to my second year. I was in a position at the time, I think, whereas a lot of students are, to be honest with you, they're in very... the tutors that surround them have hold a lot of influence over their life and how their life may become afterwards. I was going through quite a few personal things at the time that basically meant that I wasn't really focusing properly at university. And arguably, my grades suffered because of that, and I really wasn't paying as much attention. But on the flip side of that, I was also being talked about behind my back by certain people that was teaching me at the time, saying, don't work with Kris. He's not a nice person, blah, 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 useless, etc. And it's like, okay, so when you hear that your tutors are doing that and you essentially struggling with bits of mental health, sleep deprivation and other stuff, it was just like, well, sod this. And basically at the time I was under the impression that I will never be able to do well or work well in events if I left this course. It was just a lot of rubbish, to be honest with you. I've basically followed my passions and followed what I was doing. I was already doing self-employed stuff at that point. I was already running my own events. I'd already started Macmillan Fest before I'd gone to university, for example. Yeah. And I learned a few bits, but I think there's a lot of life experiences that made it more, that made where I am today, as opposed to being at university, if I'm brutally honest. So that happened. I'd say that was a bit to come over. So, wow. Worked with some really crappy agents. I've had agents tell me to, because they string me along for 4 months, to never work with them, even though I knew exactly what their intentions were originally, but they just never had the balls to say anything. So I've had agents that have been terrible, which I've refused to work with since because of that. I think, to give you an idea, when originally starting Macmillan, pretty much nowadays we can work with pretty much every single person in the music industry across all agencies, and it's really exciting to work with those kind of people that represent some of the biggest artists in the world. Yeah. But originally, when I first did it, I was like 16, I was telling about my event, and I essentially got laughed out of every single place. And it only took, I think the breaking point for the year would have been 2012, 2013. Where we started bringing bands in, or finally we started to work with bands like Tesseract, who were first up and coming at the time, and worked with bands like Jet Black and bands like Earth Tone 9 and a few other ones that
I love Earth Tone 9. I talked about them last week. Yeah, it's one of the first bands that I really got into.
They're epic, and those kind of bands who gave us the first punt and went, okay, we'll give these guys a go, and actually, so those kind of hurdles really. It's just a lot of building.
I'm in shock right now, and I'm kind of disgusted at the people that you're describing. But I'm also very much in awe and have so much respect for what you just said, because you had a choice at that point whether to quit or take what they said and succeed. And I honestly think you're well on the way to it.
Thank you.
If not already there. Well, obviously you can't say you're already there, because there's only bigger and better things that you can do now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm quite fortunate. I think that I started doing events when I was 16. I'm 26 now. I guess I probably started earlier than most. I've got quite a lot more. I want to say life experience, but I think I've seen quite a bit, and it makes me probably a lot easier to deal with things moving forward, I mean, with stuff with the university, I'm quite, even though I do work for a students' union, and I think our facilities and everything else that we do are fantastic, and I would say it's probably one of the best organisations to work for, because they actually look after and represent the students. But to be honest with you, my university was awful. There wasn't the support that network there. No, there wasn't. You felt as if you were being bullied. The things that they promised at the time was ridiculous. They pretty much guaranteed that every single person will come out with work experience and jobs. That wasn't the case for the 150, 300 people that were there.
It never is, I think, in honesty.
Yeah, I think 7 people from our group of 150 odd people actually got employed into event-based jobs. So I'm quite happy, to be fair, looking back, that I made the right decision. I might have gone and worked in a bar for a couple of years doing stuff like rescue rooms and doing my own freelance events. but I'm quite happy now with where I am, and I can't really complain. So, yeah.
I certainly wouldn't. That's absolutely amazing to hear that. It really is.
Cool.
That I see so many people take hits like that, especially from a tutor. That's just disgusting. But take hits like that and then not carry on. So definitely keep it up.
Thank you.
Just build it. Just take it, build it into strength, dude.
It's always been the case. Like, I think, I would usually do those kind of things just to spite the people that I think have tried to piss me off, to be honest, because it's just like, it's kind of something that usually fuels me. It's just kind of surpassing those people that have, done wrong. So, yeah. Again, never be too quick to judge. I think is the best thing.
Well, okay, let's talk about what compelled you to be into the alternative scene when you were younger.
I would say, in terms of what compelled me, I guess my mum had a huge influence on me. And still does, to be honest. My mum's an absolute nutter. She's, at the age of, 11, she took me to Leeds Festival. Yeah. So at the time I saw, was it Green Day, 50 Cent, Goldie Looking Chain.
Was that the one that said your mother's got a penis?
Yes. God, what was it? Else was there? Lost Prophets at the time. Cringeworthy looking back now, but back then I had a signed drumstick from them and everything. So, yeah. But stuff like that really kind of started to get me into it. And that was my first festival experience. And then actually just before that, I would have gone to Bloodstock as well. But yeah, they were some of my first, festival experiences. And she used to listen to like Terrorvision, Green Day.
Oh, I love Terrorvision.
Yeah, Therapy.
Oh, the song Josephine.
Yeah.
Like, the first time I heard that, I was just like, I like this band.
Yeah. Like Therapy, Darkness, etc. Yeah. And, those kind of bands you used to rock out to when you're like, 11-year-old kid.
Yeah.
I played drums as well. So when I was playing drums, probably from the age of like 10.
Yeah.
Started listening to bands that actually started playing to those bands' music and stuff. And that kind of was the seed, really. And then I just kind of started listening to bands like Disturbed and just drumming along to their albums back to back for like 3 or 4 hours a day.
Cool.
And
definitely an influential band for me.
Yeah. And then, succumbed to like most teenagers, I guess I succumbed to Kerrang and Metal Hammer and music TV programs and all that kind of stuff. So then my influence kind of just grew and formed from there, really. So thanks, Mum.
Okay, is there any special mentions or more details about you that people don't know, like a interesting hobby? Probably collect stamps.
Actually, I never really know what to say. It's quite weird for me, really, because I do so much event-wise. Like, literally, I live and breathe music for most days. Yeah. So for me to switch off, it's quite strange. So I like doing probably the most mundane things, to be honest with you. So I really love going hiking, go and do walks and stuff. Yeah. I'm trying to get a bit of sport in, or like, rock climbing or a few other bits in where I can. I've been doing my garden up recently, so I've been doing all that. Usually just nature, really. I usually just try and do the complete opposite to what the music industry is, and just completely just disappear and find myself in a very, very remote location and just switch off for a bit.
I completely understand that. I am honestly music through and through. I make audio cables during the day.
Nice.
Whilst listening to music or listening to recording studio podcasts. I then get on the tram. I then watch YouTube videos about music. Yeah. I then get home and I start work in my studio, or I start work on the podcast or stuff like that. And to be honest, I love it to bits. Oh, and I play guitar, and I really must take a leaf out of your book and decide to do something that's completely not music at some point.
It's nice. So we go, me and the family, we go off to North Wales and just switch off for a few days sometimes. Yeah. Or try to. At this time of year, it's usually quite hard. I'll be sat on the beach, maybe doing an email or two. Yeah. But it's probably the closest I'll get to switching off. or I'll go to Corfu or wherever, just try and get away for a bit. So yeah, switching off basically.
I did
enjoying the finest things in life.
I did actually say to the missus, we must go to the beach soon, especially with the weather that's going on today. It's meant to be hitting around about 30, 35, they said.
Yeah. I'm
and that's in the shade. Yes, and I did, like I said to you earlier, definitely. We're both drinking at the moment. To be honest, Jake from the salutation, he turned around and was like, what are you doing waiting for the pub to open? I'm like, well, I'm going to have a chat with my mate Kris. And he went, you're going to be drinking, aren't you? Yeah, I've got to keep hydrated. Right, we'll take a break. Couple of minutes.
Cool.
And then we'll start on the second round of questions, which is Knots and Rock.
Sounds good.
Cool.
This is just a little reminder. This podcast is about the music. And if you go to the website, NottsRockCast.co.uk, you can check out the podcasts in full and listen to music.
Right, welcome back. We're going to go into the second half of Knots and Rock with Kris Graham Martin from IKE or IKE. You decide. I might have to do a poll for that, mate.
Actually, yeah, you should. I'd be really intrigued to see that.
Yeah? Okay. Go to the show notes where you'll find out all the information about what we've been talking about today. And I'll put a poll on there. Do you call it IKE or do you call it IKE?
That sounds great.
Okay. What do you love and enjoy about living in Notts? Not so much the alternative scene, the city itself.
There's so much goes on. I think when it comes to summertime, it completely comes alive. You can go out to loads of green spaces, whether it's the Arboretum, Woollerton Hall, Attenborough Nature Reserve, just within the city centre reach, College Park, etc. Or you can go further afield, and there's so much stuff you can just go and explore and chill out. You can take a barbecue, take some beers, and just it's really nice. Breweries is another favourite of mine. The fact you can go on so many different brewery tours in this time of year. So
I'm going to have to do that.
Yeah, on hot. We decided once to start from one side of the city centre and go from the other. So we started at the railway station and started at the actual Castle Rock brewery there.
Yeah. And
walked all the way through the city centre and found every single Castle Rock pub en route all the way over to the Maze or Lincolnshire Poacher outside of Nottingham. Doing that over a whole day's worth of day drinking. It's a good way to spend your day, definitely.
Oh, that's really cool.
And one last thing I would say.
Go on.
This is a bit nerdy, but have you ever heard of the designer called Watson Fothergill?
Yes.
Yeah. So I really love actually going around the city centre and just going, that's a Watson Fothergill, because he's done 100 different types of properties in the city, and you can just tell by his architecture design alone, they stand out completely. Doing that sometimes is just really nice.
That's it was not Martin. It was. Oh, I've gone really blank on his name. He's been on the podcast. Matthew Wilson, that was the first person to tell me about that, actually, on the podcast. And I was like, oh, okay. So I looked up the guy, and it was like, oh, cool. And then a couple of months later, I actually went and drunk in the Fothergill pub.
Yeah.
And was like, I know why this pub's called this. So, yeah, I'm nerdy as well with that sort of stuff. I love architecture. To be honest, I walked up, and I can't think what the street's called, that down the side.
Maid Marian Way?
Not Maid Marian Way. It's literally as you walk past the Royal Children and go down towards the square, towards Broadmarsh. But there's a big church building there to let.
Yeah.
And my head, I know I've been told before I've got to keep my feet on the ground and my head in the clouds. But I was looking at that going, I need to win the lottery because that'd be a bloody amazing music venue. I can't think what the place is called. I'm going to find out and I'm going to stick it on the show notes, probably take a picture in a bit.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, but it's a big kind of really gothic looking church, and the fence has got arrows, so it must have been a scientist something church or whatever they call it. Where you write your dreams on a piece of paper, throw it over your shoulder.
God knows.
See, I'm babbling now. And I still haven't got through the first point. Okay. I was about to say, tell us a story or a myth about Notts or something locally interesting. Did you want to go with your first answer? Or have you got something else?
I did actually have something. I did a bit of research. I was on my train off to North Wales, you see, so I've got a few bits. I'm not sure how wit this myth is. Are you aware of who Wycliffe is?
Wycliffe?
Wycliffe.
No.
So there is a homeless gentleman in Nottingham city centre,
Right.
and his name's Wycliffe. He's very famously known for going around asking you for £1 and he'll sing you a song.
Right.
However, these days, sadly, due to drugs and other stuff, he seems to usually run off with your £1 before singing. Or, in my experience, he asked me to buy him food, I bought him food, and then he threw the food at me. So,
Wow.
however, he is an incredible soul singer. And he actually was, I can't remember the exact dates, but he was really, really famous basically back in the 90s to the point where he actually was with Danny Minogue for 6 months. To give you a level of idea of celebrity status. So he was on a record label. Left Line have covered it quite extensively, actually, if you're interested in looking at the story more. But
okay, you'll have to send me the link to that, and I'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah,
and that's the Left Line magazine.
Yeah, that's Left Line. But yeah, so absolutely incredible guy, absolutely rich with history. Was basically on his record label for a few years. Was at the peak. Got dropped, I think, had a horrible drug addiction, and now wanders the streets of Nottingham singing for money. But you're essentially looking at like a 90s superstar who, got tossed aside by the record industry, basically. So
I think that really ties back to what you said for your quote of inspiration.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Really interesting figure. So, definitely check out Wycliffe if people haven't. And again, especially with homeless people, try and find, I think I'd say on a separate note, try and take the time to learn about people sometimes,
Yeah.
And I guess on a separate note, people like Hockley Hustle and those kind of festivals help essentially people, like Wycliffe and hundreds of other homeless people in the city centre with, food bank, charity support and hostel support and other stuff. So, check out Wycliffe.
Cool. Because on my second podcast chat, I spoke to Pixie Sticks. And she goes around all the homeless festivals and stuff and does a lot of volunteer work for them. And I would suggest listening to that one when you get a chance, because I'll put a link in the show notes. As I say, it's NRC-027. So back in the days when I wasn't doing it every week and I had spare time on my house. But yeah, there's a lot of different stories, and I think, like I said earlier about the fact of someone giving a bad review, yes, there are certain members of this homeless society, I think it really is in the end of things, that drags it down. And there are then people that are there because of misfortune. And I think it's really upsetting.
I agree. I mean, sadly, the biggest problem is a lot of people get affected by drugs and they have nowhere back. I guess it's the same old tale for the last God knows how many years. Is it the drug user's fault in the first place that they're in that situation?
Yeah.
Or is it the situation they were in that led them to drugs?
Yeah.
You could keep arguing it day in, day out. Really. Regardless, it's a shame that people are in that situation. I think it's just got to do whatever you can to help them, I guess. So.
Well, it's not easy with modern life. I've got to be honest.
No,
really isn't. Okay, what is your favourite part of Notts or Nottinghamshire?
I really enjoy the bits that you don't expect. So when you drive into like a Nottingham city centre, it's it's very hustle and bustly. It's all cities, lots of buildings, lots of skyscrapers, apartment blocks, etc.
Yeah.
And for me, the best thing I like about it is trying to find somewhere quick that you can escape. So the park, which is literally just over where the castle is, and you can walk down there. And
I know where that is now.
Yeah, and it's incredible that within the space of like 2 minutes you go from Main Marion Way over here, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge motorway in the way into the city centre and out the city centre, and then all of a sudden, 2 minutes in you've got a castle, and then another 2 minutes you're into complete suburbia.
Yeah,
and I think that's just mind blowing. I think that Mapley Park as well is got a similar reputation. So yeah, those two for me really is just places I think you can, if you just want to get away really quick and you just want to go for a quick walk or, yeah, those places. That's
Cool.
my favourite bits, I would say.
I catch a tram every day. So the tram goes past. I know, it's funny.
How's that going for you?
Yeah, all right. I had to catch the bus today, and yes, the bus smelt of wee. And I wasn't very happy about that. But no, I catch a tram every day to work, and as it goes along towards NG2, I get a clear view of the castle every morning, and I have made the stupid mistake of not taking a picture each day because they're moving the scaffolding now. Obviously, they're going to open up again in 2020. I'm really excited for it because the scaffolding went up, and I honestly get out and have a look at it because whatever they're doing up there, they're doing a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to get back up there and go and have a look around.
Yeah, same. I'm really excited to see the beer festival taking place back in there, obviously when it moves at some point, because it's, soul destroying seeing it at the ice arena.
Oh, I bet it was. Oh, dear. Okay. Right, I'm going to look closer at this. A person gets off a train or bus, checks into the hotel, then goes into the bar that you're in and asks you, I've never been to Nottingham before, where is the one place you'd recommend I check out next?
Oh, that's really hard. So a person that hasn't been to Nottingham before, and it's somewhere you recommend they check out next over anything else.
Yeah.
And we're talking right now in this daytime scenario.
Yeah, if someone walked in through that door, because we're in the Cromwell snug in the Saddle, and they said to you, where would you say I go next? Where would you?
Oh, man. That's really hard. I've
had some great answers from this. And one of the funniest.
If they were coming into here now, and I'm basing this on logic, so hear me out. So they're here for a drink, they have a pint. I would want to recommend somewhere else they can go for a pint, or a drink where they'd be able to enjoy it properly.
Yeah.
I would probably say go and check out, what's it? Hockley Arts Club? Yeah, Hockley Arts Club. Tiny little alleyway, 4 flights worth of
I haven't gone up there yet.
Absolutely breathtaking.
Okay.
If you want something that's like, essentially a sensual experience on every level, I'd recommend going there. I would have said, in terms of city centre stuff, go to Jamie Oliver's pub. But obviously Jamie Oliver's is shut down now, and they had the most epic beer garden that you'd find in a city centre, but which no one ever really knew about, which is probably why it's closed.
That was the Italian.
Yeah, Jamie's Italian.
Yeah.
Not many people really noticed, but I only found this out.
I had my wedding there, my hand fasting.
Awesome.
And we were meant to have it in the garden, but the one day it rains, it was beautiful weather the week before, it was beautiful weather the week after, but the one day that we wanted our wedding, it pissed it down.
Oh dear.
So we had to have it inside upstairs, but it was still a really nice day.
Yeah. But I mean, their garden is obviously phenomenal, so I would have said that. But Hockley Arts Club. Would be my answer.
Okay, what is your most treasured musical object? And it doesn't have to be an instrument.
I mean, by default, I'd still have to probably say my drum kit.
Right.
So my drum kit I've never changed. It was bought from a jazz drummer who has had its probably from the 1970s or something. I've got an original Pearl Export series in black that's essentially about 40, 50 odd years old now.
Yeah.
And it's been great. I've just had to reskin it a couple of times. It's been used for not only my musical adventures when I've been playing drums, but it's essentially been shared with drummers across the country and across the world. So when we host Macmillan Fest, it's used as house backline. So it's quite nice for me to think that, some of the UK's now up and coming, or some of the best drummers in the country have played on that kit just by default, and it's just a nice little bit of like musical history. It just sits in my practice studio at home, basically. So
cool.
But yeah, I mean, and leading on from that, I'm very fortunate to have a practice studio. My folks managed to build one years ago before I got fined by the council. So
you got what?
The council, so Gedling Borough Council, when I was learning to play, I was about 11 or 12. basically placed a noise abatement order on me and my family, mostly towards my drums, but the neighbours were royal arseholes, basically.
Wow.
They got to the point where they're asking if we could turn the Hoover down, if we could turn the acoustic guitar down. This is like the latest it would have been probably 9-10 p.m. usually as well. So, I mean, there'd be a couple of times where, yeah, granted, if we played at 2 a.m, we completely deserve to be told off. But as kids,
Did they have really big ears?
no, they were a really weird family. They had no TV, no radio in the house, nothing. The only thing they had, and it was a beautiful house in some ways. But but the house was just full of bookshelves, and the only thing they did was read. And basically, the woman was studying was also pregnant.
Wow.
And the guy basically bought houses up to do them up and then sell them on and move. And their argument was, oh, well, my wife is pregnant. We're no longer looking to move anywhere, even though his job is literally to move regardless.
Yeah.
And so they got the council to manage to place this order on us. So, yeah, I had to build some kind of makeshift practice studio. Otherwise, if I ever play again, I get fined £20,000 for disturbing the peace. So, I'm not sure if that sticks to me still, whether it's just been forgotten about these days. But, yeah.
That I've got to be honest, is the best answer I've had yet. As in the most exciting. Wow. I was only saying the other week about the lack of drummers and the fact neighbours hate drums.
Yeah.
But to hear that personally from someone, I think's amazing.
It's also annoying because I would love to go and play in a band, but I do not have the time these days to, but essentially go to my parents and, disturb their schedule and their life, practice enough to the point where I'd actually feel comfortable playing in a band.
Yeah.
And to be quite frank, I haven't got the money all the time to be lugging my gear.
I wish I
storing my
had.
gear somewhere else.
I wish I had more time, and it's kind of a rule that me and the wife have put on in the past couple of days is we must spend an hour a day on our instruments. She owns a hammer dulcimer, and I've got guitar, bass, drums, and all sorts, but I just don't spend enough time playing, and I'd love to get back into a band again. Because even like Flirting with Corpses, we're talking about getting a bassist because their bassist Jake is going to move to guitar. And I'd like to join a band like that, but it's time.
It takes so much time. It really does. And again, I guess going back to everything musical based in this podcast, I guess I have so much respect for every single musician, and that has the time to practice and hone their skills and improve, and keep taking it a step further. And I think it's something that people probably don't realise is the amount of time that goes in to God, I don't have time to be in a band properly, let alone be in a band, do it properly, have the time to actually release an album.
Well, it's
you look at bands,
dedication.
It's full of dedication. You look at bands like Witch Tripping that are starting to up and come at the moment, and they've done their years of graft. They've done all the gigs for free. They've done their gigs for petrol. They're part of loads of bands that have had like gear stolen and all those kind of bits and bobs. And yet they still carry on, and they still have the time to practice and change their writing skills and still write new music. And it's I don't think people really give them enough credit. So
their latest album is spot on, in my opinion. I have through and through loved that band since the first day I saw them at the Intake Club, and I think they're either supporting Balls Deep or King Goat. And I honestly, from the moment I saw them, I was just like, I like that band. I'm definitely keeping on top of it. And I don't know the way they feel, but the way I feel treated by them is I'm one of their friends.
Yeah.
Which is such a nice feeling, especially with the amount they have to put in and how hard they work.
Yeah, definitely. And, I can say that about, a lot of different bands as well. So, it's always...
going on in here,
Is that Cook from the Sal?
Cook.
Yeah. Oh, chef. I'm sorry.
I get paid for it.
He's gonna spit in my burger when I order one in a second. But I honestly through and through. Well, I'm even wearing a Witch Tripper t-shirt.
Yeah,
so
it's a very nice shirt as well. So it just gives me a lot of respect, really. So
yeah. Okay, alt rock, metal, or other. What's your favourite genre?
I don't have. You know what? It's the same question as what's your favourite album rock? I haven't got a favourite. I will go So to give you an idea, with the stuff I work at work, I do club nights.
Yeah.
I work with DJs. I enjoy listening to people like Becky Hill, DJ Fresh. We've had like play live at the venue there. We had like live bands like indie bands like Scouting for Girls.
Yeah.
So like in terms of the indie and the DJ stuff, I enjoy that kind of stuff. I also love metal and rock. So the fact my mum got me into stuff when I was at a young age. My music tastes are very varied, and I don't think I could ever pick a certain genre. I think these days, if I had to just look, if Spotify had to sum up my life, I would probably say I'd probably listen to probably more metalcore and probably more metalcore than most bands these days, just by default. But
I understand that. I'm also a big drum and bass fan.
yeah,
And most people to look at me wouldn't even assume me with that. But I'm more assumed with the music than the drum and bass scene, because I do not like that. I think it really brings down a lot of the music, in my opinion.
For me, and I get this a lot. So I was at a gig in Newcastle. I went to go and watch, I think it was the Wombats. And for me, as a musician and everything else, I just enjoyed standing there and watching the band. And I had this 40-odd-year-old woman just going, "Oh, you're not enjoying yourself?" And I'm like, "No, I am. I'm just watching the band. I don't need to be jumping around or anything like that. This is my way of enjoying a band is just to sit there or stand there with a pint and just take it all in and just take in the atmosphere and just experience it for what it is." I don't need to be twerking in front of my mates to be to be enjoying it, and I get shit for that sometimes, I guess. So
It's a weird one, the way people perceive other people enjoying themselves, and I fall foul of it sometimes because I'm very outspoken with how I am as a person, but especially with metal, ever since my first metal gig back in the White Horse in High Wycombe, to see people turn up to watch a very lively, enthusiastic band, and all they do is stand there and just nod their head or tap their foot when there's this whole chaotic thing going off, but they're thoroughly enjoying it. I think that's amazing.
I might have to deviate for this for a minute. Actually, no, it doesn't matter. I'll ask you after the interview. It doesn't matter. Carry on.
Oh, okay.
I'll ask you after the interview.
Fair enough. Okay, name your most influential band or artist.
See, I had a couple of notes for this one. If I had to say modern, I'd say Black Peaks. Musically, they're incredible. They really are going places. They're due to support Gajira.
Black Peaks.
Black Peaks.
Haven't heard of them. I'm going to have to look them up.
They headlined at Millifest last year. To give you an idea, they dropped their album. They were meant to play in Rescue Rooms, which we thought was an apt stage for them.
Yeah.
We probably had about 200 people queuing around. Even though we had the rest of the festival taking place, we had 450 people in that building, which is completely sold out, and had another 200 plus people winding around the corner outside Albert's, all the way up to Rock City, all queuing to try and get in to see Black Peaks up the Rescue Rooms patio.
Wow!
Just because of how epic and how much they were exploding onto the music scene at the moment.
What style of music?
I'd say it's more like progressive rock, but with subtle hints from stuff like Deftones and other things like that. So it's a real musical treat. I wouldn't say and they've got a powerful live performance. I wouldn't say it's anything like it's not like an Evil Scarecrow show. It's purely about the music. It's not. It's not.
There's no gimmick.
There's no gimmick. There's no stage show as much. They just deliver a really fucking solid performance. So, them I would recommend Black Peaks, Skindred as well in terms of live bands. They are the kings of entertainment, I think, in the UK currently.
I absolutely love seeing them at Bloodstock.
Yeah, I mean, I caught them live at Download last week. They essentially upstaged them and Trivium were on par. They completely upstaged Die Untoward. All three of them could have been main supports for something they had 60,000 people in the main room. Yeah. In the main field, all just doing the Newport helicopter, and it was a sight to see. That would be my more modern days up and comings, I guess, of bands that are in this generation. If I had to say bands a bit older, I'd probably say Rammstein or Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
So, Rammstein is still delivering the most ridiculous productions on earth, to the point where I think they've surpassed most of the touring artists now with the latest stage shows. And Alice Cooper is like so theatrical.
Oh, come on, give me your favourite song by them, because by him or them, whichever way you want to call it.
I'm still a sucker for singles, to be honest. I would say Poison by Alice Cooper, just because it's quite theatrical. Sorry, not theatrical, but it just resonates. But yeah, they're alone. Like, you could go and watch an act like Alice Cooper or Rammstein, in my opinion, and you wouldn't really have to know the songs.
Yeah,
you could go and just watch an entire stage show and still be completely blown away. Let alone the music.
Yeah,
that comes after it.
When it comes to Alice Cooper, "Loaded Gun," I love that song.
Yeah.
Or is it "Love's Like a Loaded Gun"? Honestly, that song, every time I keep forgetting to put Alice Cooper on my phone, but that song for day one really resonated with me, and I expected Alice Cooper to be heavier.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, though. He comes across heavier, but he's not necessarily. So, but yeah, they would be my artists if I had to summarise them. So.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just going to close the door now.
That's okay.
The music on. Just didn't want to get in too hot, didn't Sorry, carry on.
So they would be my 4 bands. Seen all of them live. They're all extremely epic.
Yeah.
Some of the best experience I've had. Watching Rammstein's keyboardist jump off stage in the LG Arena, it was at the time, in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And watching him, get a paddle out and literally crowd surf and just go around the entire ground floor of the arena, just surfing on people and then coming back, was pretty spectacular. So
that is amazing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I like when they're not afraid to get in amongst the crowds. I've seen so many bands that are very static and just they're there, they play their music, which is nothing wrong with that. But when you see 1 or 2 band members suddenly jump into the crowd or pull people up on stage, I think I saw Bob from the Tap, a photo of him on the Rock City stage at Tom Morello.
Nice.
Was it Tom Morello?
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, that's... But there wasn't just him on there. There was like everyone on there. And I honestly, hearing some of the stories about people being told not to crowd surf and suddenly the guy invites everyone on stage must have upset someone.
I don't know. I feel like someone like Tom Morello probably has enough pulling power to go, this is how we're going to run it tonight.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, I do like that.
But yeah.
Okay. Name something you're excited about in the upcoming 6 months. I usually say one thing, but to be honest, everyone keeps going just one. And it's like, no, name what you're excited about in the upcoming 6 months.
In the next 6 months, there's a lot of stuff I probably can't say yet, which is a bit frustrating. I'll give you 3 things. Number 1 is my holiday. I'm really excited to go and bugger off for 10 days.
Yeah.
Going away to Corfu. It's going to be absolutely lovely. Covered in sun, 35 degrees plus. It's going to be great. In terms of musically, and everything else event-wise, we're doing our next installation of the IKE Showcase Week.
Okay.
So are you aware of the first one that we did in March?
Possibly.
So the idea and the concept...
Who was there?
Well, the concept that we do behind it is we do a week's worth of events. So we do Monday to Sunday, and we basically have a gig in a venue every night. So you paid was it £15 or something for the whole week? Yeah, so you pay £15 for an event ticket that lasts all week. And what we do is we take places over, like the Sow, like the Chameleon, the Tap, the Maze, etc., and try and get people that may only go to one venue and try and get them integrated into different places. Check out the local venues, get the local music scene completely behind the bands as well, because we get more advertising then from working with these other venues. Get the bands out to more people than they usually get to see.
Yeah.
And and then on top of that, try and book in some big acts in a venue where, for example, we had like Scarlet Right, I think, on the last one. So you pay £15. The ticket for Scarlet Right was a tenner, and the whole rest of the week was £6 advance for every show. So a whole week's worth of gigs would be 40 to 50 odd quid, and you could get the whole week's worth of events, including a big like Rock City basement headliner included for like £15. So we're doing the exact same thing again.
My hat's off to that one.
Thanks.
Honest, honestly, I remember talking about it on the gig guide and telling everyone to go and do it, because that, and your mentality behind doing this thing, event, I don't know what to call it, but to get people that wouldn't necessarily go to another venue, giving them a better option of going to that other venue is amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think when you think of stuff like the Maze that has, been closing, or is now closed, and, there's other venues like Albert's, for example, that are trying to still find their feet. They're still trying to get through the first year of, like, trading and trying to establish themselves as a live music venue. It's really important that, we try and support those kind of venues with that ethos. The fact that a lot of people might not know yet, or might have still not experienced, and I was still speaking to people last week, that they've only just been back to the tap since it had the whole refurb.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't used to enjoy going to the Tap and Tumble because you couldn't move because it was too busy, because it was too popular.
Yeah.
And now people are actually like, oh, wow, there's more space, and it's still busy, but there's more space.
Yeah.
And I think...
especially walking in front of that main bar.
Yeah, exactly. But everything they've done, and it's trying to get... It's like the Angel. The Angel's now a microbrewery. People still know it as a bit of a rough punk bar sometimes, but people... It's trying to get everyone back out there, and there's so many people that come in and out of Nottingham who might not be aware of it. So
the upstairs of the Angel is beautiful.
Yeah, and it's epic now. You can do some really interesting shows up there. So yeah, from my point of view, it's been trying to do more events like that kind of is beneficial for everyone, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm still trying to check my dates so I can actually tell you when the next IKE Showcase week is.
Well, I'll definitely find out, and they'll go in the show notes.
Yes.
So everyone can go on the show notes and go check them out.
In that case, do that, because...
Yeah, don't stress yourself.
I made a note. Anyway, yeah, so that's happening. It's going to be really exciting. I really can't wait for it. The last one was pretty epic. We're going to try and do, I think, a weekender-style festival at Albert's this time round, and then program other stuff throughout the week. So people should even get more value for money this time round with their event ticket. So essentially, you could go attend like a weekend's indoor festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, with some decent headliners, which will be TBC, obviously.
Okay.
So, yeah, that'll be really good. And in the next 6 months, there's also Macmillan Fest. The fact we're doing that, and Bristol. It's the 10-year anniversary and the 5-year anniversary. There's a lot going on, really.
Honestly, looking forward to Macmillan Fest. I think that's a really worthwhile charity.
Yeah, thank you.
I really do.
It's weird. It's now its 10-year anniversary, but
you owe me a set of shoes, by the way.
Good. I'll add it to my expenses.
I decided to get into a mosh pit a couple of years ago, and one of my shoes came off, and I couldn't find it, and I was a little bit worse for wear, as people will know about me. I couldn't find the shoe, so I was hobbling around with one shoe on, decided it wasn't a great idea, so I threw the other shoe.
Was this last year?
Got home, and then Sister Mel messaged me saying, I found your shoe after the show, and I'm like, well, I've chucked the other one.
I remember that.
Honestly.
I definitely didn't have a clue who it was at the time, so I sat there going, what the hell?
Which idiot was that? Oh, no, Luke. My best friend Luke, he turns around to me all the time and will always mention that show because we had such a good day. From the start of the day to the end of it. And I think every time I've gone to Macmillan Fest, I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Awesome.
And found out about bands that I don't know.
Yeah, I think this year for us, we've really pushed the boat out in terms of the quality of lineup. So I wouldn't say, the headliners are still really good in their own right, but I think it's the quality of lineup that's in addition to all of it. So, people should be essentially be able to attend this year, and they can go through your progressive, melodic art rock, with styles like Nordic Giants, for example. But then we've got a complete plot twist where the main support term this year, it's I've got the lead singer's name now. It's Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden's son, basically, who's singing his main support, and that band's called Shapes. But they're more metalcore, metal stage. So it's going to go from two complete opposites, but they're having those kind of genres flitting around, as well as bands like Airloo, who are currently playing Glastonbury twice this weekend. that whole side of thing is going to be quite epic. There's a lot of different taste, and there's an artist like A.A. Williams who's supporting Cult of Lingley this year on her entire European tour.
That just makes me so happy to hear.
It's going to be awesome. Like, you know, you've got...
It's like we were talking about Bloodstock earlier, about the whole just integrating more different stuff and making it exciting.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like, I mean, essentially this year you can go, you'll find your art rock, your progressive rock, you'll find your AOR type stuff. You know, we've got bands like The Cut playing, and, you know, all your old school rock type bands playing. We've got bands like Scarlet Right who are coming back, you know, so again, represent your rock and metal. There's the whole metalcore crowd that will have all the Ocean's 8 Alaska, Our Hollow, Our Home, etc., etc. You know, there won't be a genre, I think, that isn't represented. There's even like we've got like a pop punk resurgence throughout the day, where if you fancy a bit of pop punk, there'll be like 3 or 4 bands throughout the day where you can go and get a dose of, you know, really good up and coming pop punk. And it's just like trying to...
That's cool.
Yeah, you know, it's cool that you can just go in and just refresh stuff. I mean,
how many stages have you got this year?
7.
7. Where are they at?
So Rescue Rooms, it's also got the Red Rooms above it, and then the acoustic bar stage. So that's 3 stages.
Yeah.
We've got Rock City Beta, so that's 4. We've got Tap and Tumbler, that's 5.
Yep.
And then we're using Albert's, which used to be Spanky Van Dyke's.
Yep.
Where we're using both upstairs and downstairs.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's your 7 stages.
Cool.
One really cool thing, if you're not aware of, we've got the Great British Grind Off taking place.
The what?
Great British Grind Off. So we are attempting to do a rap battle style thing.
Oh right.
But in the style of 2 grindcore bands playing. So we've got Raised by Owls versus Brian Blessed.
Oh cool.
And they're going to have like 2 drum kits set up on stage, 2 sets of like guitar cabs, etc.
Yeah.
They're almost going to have like a face-off on stage, so they'll do one song after another. There'll be a whole stage show planned around it. So like, yeah, if you're looking for something that's going to be utterly ridiculous and probably a lot of just ridiculousness in general, then check it out. It's going to be one of the highlights, I think.
That's really cool. I like that. One thing I wanted to ask you, unless there's anything else, was, now that the Maze has closed, have you decided on a venue yet for Metal to the Masses?
Yeah. So we've just in the last week confirmed a plan for next year's Metal to the Masses. So for people that aren't aware, obviously, Metal to the Masses is a franchise. So we still have to confirm everything with Bloodstock and everything else.
Yeah.
So obviously it's not 100% guaranteed. But it's pretty much guaranteed. So next year the plan is we host it at Tap and Tumbler, which for us it's quite exciting because when we've hosted Metal to the Masses, usually we've only done Thursdays. The attendance has been all right for midweek shows. You know, you get 40 or 50 people in, 60 if you're lucky in a midweek. Yeah, which is pretty standard across like Nottingham, to be honest. So we're quite excited that essentially every single heat will be on a Friday or a Saturday at Tap and Tumbler, which means there should be a full effective audience. Yeah. We've taken on board that some people might not want to afford or pay to go to all the gigs, and there's people that we might not be able to, we might not be promoting to because they can't afford to come to all of them. So all of them will be free entry at Tap and Tumbler. Yeah. So the only thing people will have to do is go onto like a guest list on the Facebook, and we'll just print that list off, and that's how they'll get the voting slips, so they can still be actively engaged with it. Yeah. And yeah, the idea is that we host the final at Rescue Rooms. So even though we'll have it pretty much will be pretty much rammed every weekend, we reckon, for the heats and for the semi-finals. Yeah. And then realistically, we'll move to somewhere like the Rescue Rooms where the acts will get, a really high quality stage, really high quality sound. The audience will get a really good show to remember. And yeah, so that's the plan really. It's hopefully just gonna, for us, we want more people to engage with the bands. That is
incredible. Yeah. I honestly, because I know I voiced to you about the Tap and Tumbler, and I even voiced to Bob when I heard about the Maze closing, and I didn't realise you two had already started speaking anyway, because I saw you both turn up to the pub together. Yeah. So I was like, cool. I think that's a great way forward, because the Thursday evenings for me personally were a little bit of a struggle. But I still, as I said, I got to the heats. I was quite happy to do that. And Yeah,
I mean, you're one of the
people are a struggle sometimes.
No, exactly.
With getting them out.
You're very fortunately one of the committed few people that will go. You know, to be fair, if you look at where Maze is located, that kind of stuff, it's a walk. It was a walk. You know? I don't think anybody who really wants to support the Mountain Masses has got an excuse. You know, you're going to be in the city centre, literally one of the best rock pubs, arguably in the city centre as well. Yeah. It's literally the hometown of everyone, for everyone really. Yeah. So I'm quite excited that not only can we, you know, welcome more punters in as well to watch all these new bands and experience, you know, and showcase all these bands. I'm really excited that we can actually start putting more out of town bands on as well. You know, like we can get other artists in from other regions, which we usually would have had to have been quite concerned about because obviously we have to make enough money from, you know, local support, etc. to show up to, you know, justify running the events. So yeah, I'm really excited about it now. So yeah, well, hopefully it will be rammed every weekend and everyone will enjoy it, and we can see some really, really healthy like shows at places like Rescue Rooms where those bands can get even more support than they've had before. So, which for us as a promotion company means that those bands are getting a better experience. So,
that is so optimistic.
Yeah.
I honestly am so happy to hear that because it just promotes this city again in a really, really good light.
Yeah.
So I think, again, hat off to you, mate.
Thank you.
Right, I'm going to ask you the last question.
Okay.
Which is, in your opinion, what makes the Notts alternative scene great?
I think it's unrelenting. It's relentless, and that's in its own ways. Like, there's always someone wanting to do something that, you know, people have always been passionate and they've all just popped up and just done it. And people just start doing.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've really just appreciated, you know. Whether you're a promoter or you're an artist or anything like that, people just start doing. And I think it's one thing it's been really nice to see. And I think it's one of the reasons why things will still be positive, even though there's a lot of change going on at the moment. I think people will just keep doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Nottingham, again, and most of its inhabitants are just doing people. So, yeah, that would be my observation on it.
Cool. Right, is there anything else you'd like to say before we bring this to an end? I know you've got another engagement soon, so...
Yeah. Honestly, not off the top of my head. I'm probably missing something. If you like our events, find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. It's IKE Productions. Come to a gig. Got loads of stuff coming up. Please keep supporting local music.
Cool.
Yeah, that's it.
Is there anyone you'd like to personally give a shout out to? They might be listening. You can embarrass them.
I'll give it. If a couple of my friends might listen to this, Sean and Daniel, shout out to those guys.
Cool.
They've got me into more of their punk and grindcore stuff recently. So shout out to those guys.
Cool. Right. Thank you very, very much for today. This has been so interesting. I've learned so much already.
There is.
And honestly, I've taken my hat off a couple of times today. I have so much respect for you with what you're doing and the way you're progressing with things. It just adds to the whole of this culture and scene in Nottingham.
Yeah, definitely.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you very much, Notts Rockers, for listening to NottsRockCast over YouTube. If you would like to check us out on your favourite podcast player, please search NottsRockCast. And don't forget, if you're on social media platforms, give us a like, give us a share. You'll find us at NottsRockCast. Anyway, till next time, keep it Notts, keep it rocks.
NottsRockCast is an association with Regular Riot. Welcome to NottsRockCast, the Notts Alternative Scene podcast. And here is your host, Jethro D, bringing you everything Notts and Rock.